What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Point Spread, my first betting show on Fantasy Points. What a week so far. We've had a ton of content from all of our analysts. Hunter started off the week with a course preview and event preview that was very in-depth. I know I read through it all the way. It kind of gave me a nice breakdown of just what to expect. I mean, a lot of us know what Augusta is, how Augusta plays, what kind of trends we're looking for, but just seeing it all mapped out was awesome. I think he did a good job there. Today, we're just going to be basically going through the betting board. I'm going to go through my outright bets. I'm going to go through some prop bets. We can go through matchups. Feel free to leave any comments, questions you guys might have. I can go through some matchups, whatever the case may be. I'm here to answer questions and hopefully win some money for the Masters this week. So wanted to take a second to talk about our subscription plans. The PGA standard, if you are doing a annual subscription, comes out to $14 a month. And if you use code CINTO22, that is running across the bottom of your screen there, you'll get an extra 10% off. So that 10% goes towards any package. As you can see, the subscription features right there. You get DFS tiers, weekend showdown. Our staff best bets will be coming out tomorrow. So you'll see all of our favorite outrights, long shots, etc. Tournament projections will be coming shortly. Historical stats, like I kind of mentioned, the event and course preview. Stat model player list, that's done by Pat James. That was also one of the first articles to hit the site. Another great piece. News and injury updates. Final round regression candidates that Hunter Van Ness is going to do as well. That'll kind of be him looking through the field, seeing who's trending in the wrong direction and in which ways that we can pick on them. And then also access to the golf Discord. So you can tag any of the analysts if you have any last second questions. I know I'm around just about 24/7. So tag me. I'm more than likely going to answer you. But we got a pretty good package coming right now, especially being the first week. I mean, we haven't even really started. I think we're off to a great start, but there's just going to be more to come as the weeks go on, as the tournaments go on, and hopefully we get the optimizer out here in the next couple weeks, next couple months. I'll see how that progresses. Anyways, let's get into the betting board. So taking a look at the past winners and their odds, Hideki Matsuyama last year came in at 46-1. That was probably maybe the lowest number he's been at in quite some time. I mean, he was up there in the top 3 in the official world golf ranking for quite some time. Went on a dry spell in terms of winning tournaments. Matsuyama was playing great. He had a couple seasons where he had, I think he went one year with 5 wins, but he just went on a little drought where he could not get it done for whatever reason. Finally broke through last year at the Masters. Like I said, at that number of 46-1. He went 3 straight years without a win. It was 2017 before he did end up getting that one. Wasn't in the best form that we typically see from past winners. I mean, he had 2 straight cuts heading in, if you want to count the match play, T30 at Valero the week before. But outside of that, he had been missing cuts, and that's just something that was uncharacteristic compared to what we had seen in the past with Dustin Johnson, with Tiger, so on and so forth. You can date back all the way till like Phil Mickelson in 2010. Everybody came in elite form, and Hideki just wasn't there, but he was an elite name. The year before that, Dustin Johnson was 9-1 when the Masters was played in November. Played a little bit differently. Honestly, it could play somewhat like it did in 2020 this week here, but we'll kind of get into that. 2019, Tiger Woods won the event at 14-1. Patrick Reed was 50-1 in 2018. Sergio Garcia the year before that was 30-1. And then Danny Willett won at 50-1 when Jordan Spieth kind of gave it away there late when the weather was bad, when the winds were high. Could also play like it did in 2016. So looking at that, the last 6 years, 9-1 was the shortest odds to win. 250-1 guys in there. Nothing past that. It's not to say that you have to look 50 to 1 and up and kind of cut it off there when it comes to outrights. I'm going to be right around there, though. I mean, there are some good numbers at guys sub 100. I don't think you need to get higher than 100 to 1. We'll get to some long shots. I understand that long shots are fun. A lot of money's there. But those are guys you're gonna want to bet finishing positions on. I don't think a guy who's like 150 to 1 can just go out there and truly win like a Kevin Kisner or a Kevin Na. It's just guys that aren't really built for it. They don't have the type of profile that we're looking for. So 50 to 1 and in, the last 6 years have proven that is the range. That is the sweet spot. So, I mean, no reason to really go against history. And that's kind of where my outrights stand. So starting at the top of the board, you got to make a stand. You can't bet everybody up in this range. It just obviously doesn't make any sense. It doesn't matter what event it is. I would only advise 2 guys under 25 to 1 if you want to even go that far. The outright betting market is intriguing. I get that, but there's money to be won elsewhere when it comes to each ways, finishing positions, matchups, some boosts that are out there that are really good that we'll get into a little bit. But looking at the top of the board, Justin Thomas at 13 to 1 over on FanDuel. That's a guy who I am very much so in on this week. I know I'm not the only one. He seems to be a very popular name. He's pumping out ownership projections from a DFS perspective. He's going to be very highly owned. Everybody seems to be on Justin Thomas, and it's hard for me to really go against that. I mean, he's been doing everything right. Looking at his approach numbers, I mean, over the last 100 rounds, he ranks second in the field on approach. And then even going shorter than that, last 24 rounds, he's 4th. Last 50, he's 7th. Last 8 rounds, he's 6th. Hasn't missed a cut in quite some time. It looks like the PGA Championship is the last time that he missed a cut. Looking at the profiles that other Masters winners had, they did have this hot streak coming in. Like even some of the guys that end up finishing in the top 5 come in that hot. So looking at some of Justin Thomas's recent events, the Valspar Championship, a couple weeks back, he finished T3. He was solo 6th at the Genesis, T8 at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, top 20 at the Farmers, and he was 5th at the Century Tournament of Champions. Could even go back into late last fall. He was 5th at Hero, 3rd at the Worldwide Technology Championship, Mayakoba. So Justin Thomas has just been pushing out top 5 finish after top 5 finish. His last win was at the Players last year, where he came in decent form. He was a little bit inconsistent, but he's definitely showing some consistency here. A guy that's had some success at the Masters last 5 years, starting in 2017, he was T22, followed that up with a T17, a T12, the November Masters, he was solo 4th, and then last year, T22. So I like what Justin Thomas is doing. I like his form heading into this week. The ball striking's there as well, maybe more than anybody else. It's top 5 in ball striking, just about from any time range that you want to sort. So ball striking and approach are the 2 metrics that I am weighing heavier than anything else. 13 to 1, I think is a great number. You're not getting a much better number compared to the rest of the books. I think they've all kind of leveled themselves out. Bet Rivers has the worst odds on them at 11 to 1, but everywhere else is 12 for the most part. DraftKings, BetMGM, Caesars, except for FanDuel's 13. It's only 1 point. So if you have money in Caesars and you don't have anything in FanDuel, it's not worth depositing just to get that number. It's not something like some of the discrepancies that we'll see elsewhere. However, if you do have money there, it's at least worth noting because, hey, it's an extra point. So end of the day, it's just another unit that you can end up winning. After Justin Thomas, Victor Hovland and Jordan Spieth are probably the next two places that I'm going. Spieth kind of showed me everything that I needed to see last week at Valero. He was first in the field in strokes gained tee to green, second in the field in strokes gained approach, and he didn't even finish inside the top 30. His putter was way off. He lost 7.2 strokes putting, which was by far the worst in his career, and it's really not even close. Obviously, we know Jordan Spieth has had success at the Masters, so I wouldn't be too worried about his putting. It's a place that he's clearly comfortable at, a place that he's performed well at. T3 last year, and then we obviously know he had the pair of second place finishes early on in his career. He had the win, obviously the loss to Danny Willett. But what's most interesting to me when looking at Spieth's course history is 2019 and 2020 or 2021, however you want to kind of classify that. November, I'm just going to go forth, I'll tell you right now, and say 2020 when it comes to that Masters where Dustin Johnson won. But 2019, he finished T21, and then 2020, he finished T46. That was a completely different Jordan Spieth. He was not playing his normal game. He lost it for quite a while until early last year where he finally picked it back up. So seeing that he was able to push out a T46 when he was struggling to even make cuts at that point in time, it speaks volumes. It means that he is truly comfortable here. There is a course history aspect that you can look at. I'm not too thrilled with his recent finishes. Had a solo second at AT&T Pebble Beach earlier in the season. After that, though, T60 at Waste Management Phoenix, T26 at the Genesis, then Spieth missed the cut at the Players. Match play didn't show a whole lot. Valero, I kind of already talked about, but knowing that I am weighing ball striking, that I'm weighing tee to green and approach as much as I am, course history as much as I am, Jordan Spieth just checks all the boxes. I mean, he comes at a very affordable price. You get him at 22-1 when he's not by any means playing bad golf. Maybe he's not playing as good as the guys above him, but usually you get that course history bump, and he clearly has that. Sorting at Augusta strictly in my model, Jordan Spieth leads the field in birdie or better percentage, bogey avoidance, and par 5 scoring. I like seeing that pair of bogey avoidance and birdie or better because given the weather this week, obviously rained all day at Augusta today, so it's going to play a little bit softer. Winds are supposed to pick up Thursday, Friday, so just in terms of making the cut alone, leading the field in bogey avoidance, knowing how to get out of trouble at Augusta could go a long way for Spieth this week. Might not be the best when it comes to a wind player. I mean, he doesn't come to mind, but I mean, if the conditions do get tough, I think he'll be able to navigate his way around there. So a couple questions flying in on YouTube here, 30-1 and in. Cody, yeah, I would say so. I mean, the three that I'm looking at are, like I said, Spieth, Justin Thomas, and then Victor Hovland. I'll get to Hovland here in a second. So looking at Victor then, I am looking at lines of 20-1. You can get Victor Hovland at Caesars and DraftKings. Outside of that, he's 16 on Bet Rivers, 18 on Bet MGM. So if you're going to go bet Victor Hovland at 20-1, which I think is a great number given his win equity, go to Caesars, go to DraftKings, and get that number for Victor Hovland. Looking at that number, you're getting the fourth best player in the world at the ninth highest golfer in terms of betting price. So when you see that type of discrepancy, obviously sticks out a little bit. So Victor's course history, obviously one of the younger guys on tour, one of the most polarizing younger players that we've seen in quite some time. He did play this as an amateur. back in 2019, where he finished in T32. And then last year he finished T21, but he is coming into this week in very elite form. 2 wins at the back end of the fall at Mayakoba and Hero World Challenge. And then he did have 1 win on the DP World Tour at Dubai the 5th week of this year. Since his missed cut at Phoenix, Victor's really picked it back up. He had a T4 at Genesis, a T2 at API, and a T9 at the Players. So back-to-back top 10 finishes. Then he had a T32 at Valspar and 18 at Match Play. Didn't make it out of his pod, but had a decent little showing there. So it's always something that you can look at. One thing I did notice, a lot of the guys who finished towards the top of the board, for whatever reason, played in match play. I was looking last year, there was 9 players who finished T8 or better at the Masters. All but one of them, which was Justin Rose, who finished solo 7th, played in the match play event. So Hideki, Zalatoris, Schauffele, Spieth, Rahm, Leishman, Connors, and Reed. They all played in the match play. Corey Connors almost finished dead last, but he was at least there. Obviously, the match play event features the top 64 golfers in the world. So obviously a lot of them are going to be in the Masters anyway. So it doesn't speak all that much, but it's worth at least looking at who went to that event and who played it, because that gets played very close to the Masters. So digging into Victor Hovland a little bit more, like I said, 2 for 2 lifetime at the Masters. I guess you can say he's getting better each year. He had that T32 and then a T21. Hopefully that means he's going to push a top 10 this year, at least the top 20. Over the past 12 rounds, which he did not have those top 10 finishes that would have pushed the Players into that, but it would have been Players, Valspar, API. Number 1 in the field in both ball striking and approach. Like I've said, and I'll say it again, ball striking and approach is what I'm looking for. It's the type of profile that I want in a golfer, especially if I'm placing an outright. Those 3 top 10s are very telling. We see guys rattling off top 10s and then going on to win a Masters. He was 2nd in the field at the Players in greens and regulation, where he finished T9. So being able to hit greens, a lot of people are worried about what Victor's able to do around the greens. I'm not too worried. If he's hitting a lot of greens in regulation, he's not hopefully going to have to do a whole lot with his short game, which is the goal here. So I'm not too concerned about that. A couple guys that I guess I am off in the top range are Colin Morikawa and Patrick Cantley. Both of their approach games have not been where we've seen them in the past. Especially Morikawa, looking at him over the past 24 rounds, he just really hasn't been the same. He had a T18 at the Masters last year and then a T44 at the November one. But, I mean, his approach numbers just haven't been what we've seen in the past. His last 2 events, 68th at Valspar and a missed cut at the Players. Just not the type of form that I'm looking to coming into this event, especially when you have to get a guy at 20-1. I mean, the best odds on Morikawa right now are 22-1. Same price as Spieth, same price as Victor, basically. I would just much rather prefer those 2 over Morikawa. Same goes for Cantley. His form is kind of fallen off. Cantley you can get at 25-1 over on DraftKings, but same kind of thing. Cantley missed the cut last year here. He missed the cut in his first try back in 2018. So, I mean, he had a T9 and T17 sandwiched into those, but just looking at where he's been, miscut at the Players, T33 at Genesis, and he lost over 2 strokes to the field in both of those events. It's just not the type of form that I'm looking for, even in some of his higher finishes. So he had a 9th place finish at the American Express, and then a 4th place finish at Pebble Beach. He lost strokes on approach in both of those events. So if you're pushing out top 10 finishes, you better be hitting your irons well, because I don't really want to rely on what a guy's able to do on the putting greens or off the tee. Eventually, that's going to get away from you, especially at a place like Augusta. Obviously, he had that miscut last year, like I said. So the chance that he misses the cut is there. And just a guy at 25-1, I'm not really looking to push him onto my card. So getting into a couple more bets down the board. Like I said, 50-1 and in, I would kind of stay towards. Shane Lowry is in that category. I caught him at 55-1 on FanDuel yesterday. It looks like that number has come down a little bit. 50-1 appears to be his best bet on DraftKings. That appears to be his best odds. Let me verify that. 50, yeah. So I caught a 55 on Lowry yesterday. Happy with the number. That's probably as low as I'll go, I think. Like I said, I don't want to get a whole lot deeper. I'll talk about a couple guys, but it does look like those odds have changed. So 55-1 on FanDuel. I got Shane Lowry yesterday. He's currently 43. So DraftKings does offer the best price. FanDuel, I don't know if anyone was on yesterday, but when they dropped their odds, it was a little crazy. Like there was a range of guys 45-1. I've seen a lot of graphics on Twitter of just guys that really shouldn't be down there. I caught Tyrell Hatton at 95-1, I want to say, and he's now 55-1. So being able to catch some of these numbers early go a long way. You can see, obviously, Masters Week's different because the odds are out basically through, like, from the finish of the Masters until the next year. The Masters odds are open for the public. So anybody can really bet on those, and they stay open. They change week to week. If somebody gets a win, they're going to jump. If somebody is in bad form, they'll fall. You just got to kind of keep an eye on something like that. I don't know what it was yesterday, why those odds got so far down, but moving forward, I guess, with this show, be on the lookout on like Monday morning, because when odds makers first drop their numbers, they usually always change as people throw money down. I remember, I forget what event it was last year, but Jason Day at an event that he had really good course history and was coming off a good finish. They dropped like a 35, and within, I think, 5 minutes, it had went down to 20 or something crazy. So be on the lookout on Mondays and early. Obviously, I caught, like I said, a couple good lines there. But I wouldn't really touch Hatton at 55. 95 is an outlier. I don't think I would go to 55 for him. That's almost his odds cut in half. So there's no reason to really get there. Lowry 50-1 on DraftKings is fine. I'm going to be more involved in the finishing positions when it comes to Shane Lowry this week. Just digging into some of his stuff. I did write him up on Fantasy Points, my FanDuel article. So if you go over to that on the website, I just wrote up what I like about Shane Lowry. And if the weather's going to be bad, he always comes to mind. A European guy who has played a lot on the Euro Tour, obviously got the win at the Open Championship. He's no stranger to that type of weather. So getting him at 50 isn't really that big of a deal. Early on in his career at Augusta, he wasn't all that great, missing cuts, inconsistent. However, over the past 2 years, back-to-back top 25 finishes, had his career best at Augusta, T21 this past year. Proven track record when it comes to major championships. Like I said, the win at the Open Championship, and then he's got 5 other top 10 finishes. He's made his last 7 cuts worldwide, something that I'm always looking for. And during that stretch, his worst finish is T24. So seeing that, seeing where his approach game is at, seeing where his ball striking's at, bogey avoidance is one that I keep bringing up, and I'm going to keep bringing it up because the winds are supposed to be high. I want someone that knows Augusta. I want somebody that doesn't just fold when it gets a little bit windy. So I think Lowry rates out as good as just about anyone this week, and I've made that stand early, and I'm going to stick with it. I like Shane Lowry a lot. Looking at some of his props, I know he had one good top 20 line out there, plus 150 on DraftKings, Lowry for a top 20. I like that. When I see a guy that I like, my process is usually finding where their odds hit even money. So if somebody's odds is closer to even money, I will be more susceptible to kind of get that number. I mean, I'm not going to bet Shane Lowry minus, I don't even know what it is. Let me see. I'm not going to bet Shane Lowry minus 295 to finish top 40. At that point, you're not gaining a whole lot. If I truly believe in him, obviously I can lay that plus 150 as a top 20, or you can go to a top 30 where it might be closer to minus 125 or something along those lines. So love Shane Lowry this week, not backing off of him. I'm going to basically bet the ladder on him. I'm probably going to go win top 5, whatnot. So got a question on the board, Cody Ritzma. So Tiger minus 112 to make the cut. Thoughts? I like it. I mean, that number I believe is over on DraftKings. He makes it sound like he's suiting up. I don't think Tiger's a guy that would play if he wasn't healthy and confident in himself. Knows the course, hasn't played in quite a while, but if he's going to tee it up and thinks he's healthy enough to do so, I don't see why you wouldn't bet at nearly even money. I mean, there's definitely worse odds out there. DraftKings, I think it has the best number on him out there. So if you're going to make that bet, make sure it's over there. Don't be giving somebody a minus 250. There's a lot of to make the cut bets that are bad bets. I would stay away from those for the most part, unless you want to parlay them. I know some of them, some of the books offer parlays on that, but outside of that, that's tough. One of the boosts that I did want to bring up, I saw prior to the show, was the Masters odds boosts over on Caesars. A lot of these are pretty intriguing. JJ Spawn to make the cut at minus 110, I think is very interesting. Obviously, coming off of a win at Valero last week, Spawn looked awesome. And when you're talking about recent form, if it's only one event prior, that's enough for me. But Spawn was playing good heading into that. It was a lot of alternate fields because of some of the events that he couldn't get in. But JJ Spawn to make the cut at minus 110, that's a good bet for me. I will probably max that just because I like where he's at. We talked about, so making the cut at the Masters is a little bit different than anywhere else. You get a field with a bunch of past winners who are basically a write-off. So a lot of these guys aren't going to make the cut out of maybe 1 to 3 of them. You get the top 50 players or 10 strokes within the lead make the cut. I don't see JJ Spawn as a guy that's going to blow up. Obviously, having him boosted to minus 110 to make the cut means that he's not a lock to make the cut, which he isn't. I mean, it's his first time at Augusta. He could struggle there like a lot of first-timers do, but I have enough confidence in JJ Spawn to lay $100 on that boost at minus 110, just about even money. Looking at some of the other ones, Shane Lowry, first-round leader, 40-1. Obviously, might have to sprinkle that just based off of my love for him this week. Outside of that, you have like Mackenzie Hughes, top Canadian, plus 235. He would have to beat Corey Connors. I don't know. That doesn't seem like the best bet in the world. A couple other top 20 boosts, Francesco Molinari, Patrick Reed, top 20, staying away from both of those. But be on the lookout for boosts. I think tomorrow a lot of these books are really going to hit some of these boosts. They're going to make it intriguing. I'll kind of be on Twitter saying which ones are good, which ones are bad, kind of filter through that because there's a lot of money to be won on Masters Week. These books want people to put their money in. They want people to stay. They want someone to hit a winner and give it all back. They just want your money. So this is a good week that they're going to be able to capitalize on that. Carp, Tiger Woods has said from the very first tournament presser he ever gave, he only plays to win, would never play a tourney if he wasn't trying to win. I agree. I completely agree. It seems like that's his stance this week as well. Obviously walking 9 holes, kind of testing it out, seeing if he's able to do it. He isn't coming here just hitting 9 holes for a show. I mean, he's truly testing it out, seeing if he is good to go. I mean, he doesn't want to go out there and be dead last. That's just not Tiger. He's a competitor. He's going to go out there and obviously try to win this thing. So making the cut, sure. I don't see why not. Moving down a little bit further. Let me see what I had on my bet sheet here. Another top 20 bet that I'm going to be all over is Russell Henley. I like Henley a lot. Plus 163 is the best number on the market over at Bet Rivers. You can get a plus 155 at FanDuel if you want. Russell Henley for quite some time has been just elite on approach. We've seen it for almost 2 years now. Russell Henley has been one of the top players in approach, like every time we look. I had him as an outright at Sony. The playoff loss to Hideki Matsuyama. That was a bit of a heartbreak. He's shown us a lot of consistency in 2022, though. He's perfect 6 for 6 with 4 finishes inside the top 15, making his first trip to Augusta since 2018, where he was T15. Has missed 2 cuts in 6 attempts at the Masters, with his best finish being a T11. So having a couple top 20 finishes at Augusta and coming into the event playing what I would say is the best golf of his career over this last year and a half, 2 years. I know he's had wins earlier in his career, but just from a consistency perspective, Russell Henley has showed us everything to believe in him. And I'm not going to go away from that. Looking at the 2022 season, which for whatever reason always starts back in the fall. But if you look at the season stats, he leads the field in strokes gained approach, 4th in tee to green. That approach game has always been there. His most recent event was the Players, where he did lead the field in approach on his way to a T13 finish. So gaining over 11 strokes on the field in approach is obviously very interesting. Usually you see the winner or somebody in the top 3 that leads the field in approach, but the Players was Russell Henley and Eric Van Rooyen, actually. Van Rooyen didn't finish. Let's see here. Van Rooyen finished right around where Henley did. Yeah, Van Rooyen finished T13 at the Players as well. Did play in the match play. He's actually made a lot of cuts. I'm going to get to EVR here while I'm on the subject of the Players and approach. But EVR's strokes gained approach has been quietly very good. Had a T4 at Dubai earlier this year, a T12 at Abu Dhabi, T20 at Sony, T25 at Century, which isn't very good, but it's there anyways. Obviously a winner from last year when he took down the Barracuda Championship. I know I did have a sprinkle on that one, so that essentially got him into the Masters. He's also the 64th ranked player in the world, so got into the match play event just barely, one of the lower seeds, and kind of played like it too. But when it comes to EVR, I'm going to top 30s and top 40s just because he is down there. I mean, it's his first time. No, hang on. That is false. I think he has played here before. Yeah, Van Rooyen withdrew at the event when it was played in November. So was an early withdrawal there, but has at least, quote unquote, played the event, I guess. Looking at his top 40 number, the best number that you're getting on Eric Van Rooyen is plus 160. That number is over on FanDuel. For those of you who aren't too familiar with betting top 40s, FanDuel is the place to go. I mean, you can go on Odds Checker and kind of compare odds. While I'm on that topic, Fantasy Points is going to be pushing something out there shortly. So you're going to be able to type in say John Rahm and be able to pull up the odds from all different books to ensure that you're getting the best number. Saves a ton of time. So you're not logging into 4 or 5 different apps just to price shop. It saves a ton of my time for sure. That'll be nice to have on the Fantasy Points site. Anyways, FanDuel's a spot. You can look on Odds Checker at top 40s. The only places that are offering top 40s right now are FanDuel, PointsBet, and BetRivers. For whatever reason, DraftKings either hasn't released them yet or they're slowly going away with top 40s because top 40s are just about my favorite thing to bet. It's a lot of consistency. You can take, if you have a long shot that you really like, instead of betting him 400 to 1 to win, just bet him top 40. And if he makes the cut, I've had top 40 sweats. I've had guys who I thought were a lock for top 40 and they hit it in the water on 18. I mean, there's money to be had there. I usually like to go to the even money point or minus 125 and in. And then go from there. But yeah, we're getting Eric Van Rooyen at plus 160 on FanDuel. He's minus 110 on BetRivers, which no value there. If you need to deposit into FanDuel to make that bet, do so. Don't lay that minus 110. Make sure you're getting the right number. But plus 160 to make the top 40 at the Masters. Obviously, a lot of guys make the cut. The field's a little bit weaker. So if he keeps that approach game consistent, if he keeps that approach game where it's been at recently, I don't see why EVR can't push a top 40 finish. Plus money to miss the cut. Let's take a look at that. Hang on 1 second. Plus money to miss the cut is very interesting because the make and miss the cut props that some of these books offer usually just feature the bigger players, which makes it interesting because you can get a guy to miss the cut. Let's see. A lot of these look like they're around plus 115, plus 205. If I had to, let's see some of the guys I said I'm picking on earlier. Patrick Cantley, plus 350 to miss the cut on BetRivers. Love it. Morikawa. The thing is, a lot of these guys don't really miss the cut. So they're bad bets in general. If you want to have fun and sprinkle a couple of these, obviously big name players do miss the cut. I mean, it's pretty flat and simple there. Notable miscuts from last year. I did write those down. Rory McIlroy missed the cut. Dustin Johnson, Brooks Koepka, Patrick Cantley, Daniel Berger, and Sungjae Im. Those are the notable guys that missed the cut last year. Obviously, Rory and Dustin came into the field as two of the favorite guys. I mean, they were two of the top 10 in the betting market. They didn't come in good form. So look for that. Rory heading into last year's Masters where he missed the cut, had a miscut at the Players, and played really bad from a putting perspective. Dustin Johnson, another guy who I said missed the cut last year, had a T48 at the event prior, which was the Players. So DJ had a 48th. Rory had a missed cut. Lost strokes at the Players from tee to green and approach. That is Dustin Johnson. And then the event he played before the Players was the WGC Mexico, where he finished T54. That is a no-cut event with 71 players. So obviously towards the bottom of the field just in general, and not even bottom half. He was really pushing last place for the most part. So Koepka, I'm not going to hold that really against him. He was injured. He almost didn't play. He skipped out the whole month of March last year before the Masters. So I guess you can compare that to where Bryson is. Obviously, played the last couple events, didn't look great. didn't look great at all. So DeChambeau's odds to miss the cut plus 150 on Caesars. If you want to, if you truly believe that he's not 100%, go for it. I'm going to stay away after seeing a video that our own Matt Gannon, I saw quoted it or reposted it, just smashing driver off the tee. He didn't look injured in the slightest. Maybe Bryson used Valero last week as a warm-up 2 rounds to kind of test some things, see where he's at. But like I said, he didn't play well. He didn't play well at all. And there was a lot of hype around Bryson 2 years ago saying that he was going to set the course record and that he was going to just run away with it and was the heavy favorite, and clearly didn't do that. Still doesn't have a green jacket. So if you want to bet that, feel free. Like I said, kind of similar to what we saw with Koepka last year, but not quite as bad. Brooks was in a much different spot. Patrick Cantley last year missed the cut at the Masters. Also missed the cut at the Players, which was the event prior. But he was on fire early last year too. So seems like a trend that guys were playing bad heading into the event. So the last 1 or 2 events. So you can kind of look at that. Players or golfers who missed the cut at the Players this year, for reference: Morikawa, Xander, Koepka, Cantley, Fitzpatrick, Leishman, Rose, Scott, Finau, Webb Simpson, Thomas Peters, Jordan Spieth. I'm going to act like I didn't see the Jordan Spieth one and still bet him. But those are the guys who missed the cut at the Players. If you want that list, you can hit me up on Twitter and I can go back over that. I know it's kind of tough not having visuals. You can miss a couple things. Let's see here. Any more questions before we wrap up here? Feel free to throw them on the YouTube channel. Like I said, top 40 wise, EVR plus 160. I guess if I'm looking down a little bit further, someone else I don't mind for a top 40 would be Christian Zayden, who at plus 140. Shown a little bit over the course of the year for the most part. I mean, he doesn't make any bogeys. He is a European Tour player who, well, I guess now you can consider him a PGA Tour guy since he has took his card on and really played a good amount of events. But looking at CBEZ this year, T17 at Sony, he had a T14 at Pebble, top 25 in back-to-back events at the Honda Classic and the Arnold Palmer Invitational. So obviously CBEZ can get it done. I think getting him at plus money for a top 40 is a pretty great bet, just based off of his consistency and, like I said, playing a lot of events on the European Tour, seeing some difficult weather, seeing some difficult courses that could play a factor here. This week, I tweeted about him earlier. Matthew Wolff, as much as I want to bet him plus 160 to finish top 40, and as much as I probably will, I'm not going to advise anyone watching this to do so, especially to win. I mean, I'm trying to figure out if I can even play him on DraftKings just because his price is so low, but plus 160 for Matthew Wolff to finish top 40 at an event where he got disqualified and missed the cut, I don't see how I can really do that. Nothing for Matthew Wolff is clicking. I love the guy. I love his upside. If you're going to bet him to do anything, do like a top 20, a top 10. Throwing nearly even money on Wolff to top 40 isn't doing you much good. He's missed the cut at the Players, 61st at Arnold, missed the cut at Honda, 64th at Farmers, missed the cut at Amex. That's his season. Missed. And I guess that means he's going to make it. So bet Matthew Wolff to make the cut if you can find it, which you probably won't find it. But anyways, that is all I have for you guys. So Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to hit me up on Twitter at domcinto_11. Tune into the Final Points show tomorrow with me and Matt Gannon, Jersey Betting on Twitter as well. We're going to be on there talking DraftKings picks, going through the board top to bottom, basically hitting on every player. I mean, every notable player. It'll be good to have a guest to kind of bounce things off of him, see where he's at, see what guys we line up on, who we both like, who we don't. But anyways, thanks for watching. Hit me up on Twitter at domcinto_11. So you can see it at the bottom here. Use promo code Cinto22 for 10% off the Fantasy Points PGA content package. Obviously, this week it's all free, but just get in there. Make sure to use that code to get the extra 10%. Maximize your value. We're going to have a lot of things rolling out here, so it's going to be something that you're going to want to get in on, especially based off of the articles that I've been seeing myself. They're very impressive. So get over to the site, check it out, get a subscription, and we'll see you tomorrow night. Thank you.